morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. My name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner here at the Spiritual Center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. So before we get started, I have some announcements. Thank you everyone for joining us last Sunday. It was such fun. Summertime fun lunch and paint with Karen Thomas was such a joy. And you see the pictures in the program. And also it's posted on our website. Join us next time, sometime in end of September or October. I'll talk to Karen about that. And we are gathering students for the fall class of Foundations of Science of Mind. That'll be on Wednesday evenings. We don't have a start date yet. If you're interested, please come see me. The Essential Earnest Homes class is open just one more week to new students. If you're interested, please see Reverend Bill. Spiritual Growth Support Group is ongoing on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And that is open to anyone who wants to come and ask any kind of spiritual questions. And it's a very joyous time. Please join us if you can. Our last spiritual economics class will be on Sunday, August 20th. And that is the last class in the presentation day. And if you haven't joined us before, you're all welcome to come and go, ooh, ah, to our presentation. and join us in that. We're getting ready to display our sizzling summer raffle prizes. And that's going to be not until September, but we'll start to display some of our prizes so you could look around and shop around. We are still calling for more donations, so if you'd like to donate, the details are in the program. Unexpected Income Club is chugging along. Thank you everyone for your continued support and keep looking for those unexpected income.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this whole world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
As we come together on this glorious day, just know with me that God is all there is. That God is that divine love, infinite intelligence, life, love, power, light, all of that and so much more. And we are each one with this power, this love, this light. We are as close as God is as close as our breath is to our bodies. That life force that animates our being is that God. So I know that absolutely right here, right now, in the midst of this gathering, God is. And I know that there are blessings for all those wonderful people who made this service possible. There are blessings for the ushers and the greeters, the board of trustees, the teachers of our junior church, my fellow practitioners, our beautiful musicians, and all those that work in the office and teach classes. Absolutely, we are so blessed. And there are blessings for our congregation, our visitor, and all those who are joining us online. And a special blessing for Reverend Dr. Bill Salisbury, knowing that as he dedicates himself to this teaching, to the truth, he becomes the channel, the vessel for this expression of God. And I know that what he talks about today is exactly what we came here to hear. And for this and so much more, I just say thank you and let it be. And so it is. My name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner here. Today I've chosen a reading by Howard Thurman, and this is called Keep Alive the Dream in the Heart. As long as one has a dream in their heart, they cannot lose the significance of living. It is a part of the pretensions of modern life to traffic in what is generally called realism. There is much insistence upon being practical, down to earth. Such things are dreams or visions. Such things as dreams or visions are wont to be regarded as romantic or as a badge of immaturity, or as escape hatches for the human spirit. When such a mood or attitude is carefully scrutinized, it is found to be made up largely of pretensions, in short, of bluff. One cannot continue long to live if the dream in the heart has perished. It is then that one stops hoping, stops looking, and the last embers of their anticipations fade away. The dream in the heart is the outlet. It is one with the living water welling up from the very springs of being, nourishing and sustaining all of life. Where there is no dream, the life becomes a swamp, a dreary, dead place, and deep within, one's heart begins to rot. The dream need not be some great and overwhelming plan. It need not be a dramatic picture of what might or must be someday. It need not be concrete outpouring of world-shaking possibility of sure fulfillment. Such may be important for some, such may be crucial for a particular moment of human history, but it is not in these grand ways that the dream nourishes life. The dream is the quiet persistence in the heart that enables one to ride out the storms of their churning experiences. It is the exciting whisper moving through the aisles of one's spirit, answering the monotony of limitless days of dull routine. It is the ever-recurring melody in the midst of a broken harmony and harsh discords of human conflict. It is the touch of significance, which highlights the ordinary experience, the common event. The dream is no outward thing. It does not take its rise from the environment in which one moves or functions. It lives in the inward parts. It is deep within, where the issues of life and death are ultimately determined. Keep alive the dream, for as long as one has a dream in their heart, they cannot lose the significance of living. Please join me in prayer. Let us connect with our breath and follow it within. And just know with me that that breath, the breath of life, is that God, the living God within. And we are each one and inseparable from this living God. So I speak my word for everyone here, knowing that everything is all right. Everything is falling into place for everyone's highest and best good. Whatever it is that is in your heart that weighing you, let us turn it over to that living God and surrender to that power and presence that heals all, that inspires, that loves. And I know that as I speak my word and I release my word into the law, that word, my word, will not return to me void. So I know with great certainty that it is already done. but it's in so much more. Thank you, God. And I release my word, and I release this, all this prayer into, for it to do its good works in the world. And so it is.
You can play the game, you can act out the part, even though it wasn't written for you. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another, it doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. What you plan to do with your broken heart when you're all by yourself alone? Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to breathe. Just don't do what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. Sing along. Better to shower people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. Now shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Sing along now. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Yeah. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Come on now. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. I can't hear you. Show them the way that you feel.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have a new theme this month, love and law, because as we all know, neither one of those stands very well on its own. Well, we might tend to think it is sometimes. And the title of today's talk is Mind Your Own Business.
Okay, fine.
Or the way we often hear it is, mind your own business. Or, you better mind your own business. Or, but that's our job, isn't it? Mind our own business. So, I'm going to put that almost under the heading of pithy sayings, P-I-T-H-Y, pithy sayings. And there's going to be a lot of others. So we not only view this as an admonition, but we also sometimes, don't we think of it in our higher states, don't we think of this as some kind of like almost an essential philosophical tenet? Mind our own business. Thinking about the song, shower the people you love with love, how do we do that? We do that by minding our own business. Because what is our business? Let's talk about what our business is not. Our business is not butting into somebody else's life in an attempt to fix them, in an attempt to straighten out their crooked path so that it's much more in line with, well, our path. Because minding our own business is above everything a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice, although we often don't think of it like that. In our most honest moments, when we're really deeply inside of our hearts and outside of our mind, and we're thinking of, oh, the advice that we give to so-and-so. Why do we always give advice? Our reason is always the same. We give advice for their own good, right? We don't want to see anything untoward befall the object of our butting in. And you know what, that's only fair because we are in such deep denial of the lies, if you will, that have been pounded on us and absorbed into our subconscious. We're actually literally unaware of them. We don't know that when we say, I just want the best for them, that that's truly not what we mean. Because what we mean is, I just want them to do things the way I do things. Wouldn't you think? We're concerned for their safety, right? We're concerned for their well-being. But we are generally, as a human race, so into what we deem to be the right way to do things, that anything that moves from our path, we view as being potentially on the wrong path. And what do we say when somebody does things differently than we do? They are committing errors, which we interpret in our own mind as terrors, because the one and only reason we would ever try to change somebody's way of doing things is because we're not comfortable with that way. So what we're doing is we are putting on full display for the world to see our own fears. Okay? If I'm afraid for you because what you're doing doesn't fit well in my philosophy, that's only because I have some fear around that. We were all put here. Now, we weren't put here. We've been extended to here because we are literally extensions of the light of God. We are literally extensions of the divine being, of that consciousness that grounds all being. We are extensions of it. If everybody else in the world went away, and I hope that never happens, in fact, I'm sure that'll never happen, still, the one remaining one would be that soul beam of light. And it would still radiate forth. And if that soul beam of light went within itself and knew and was aware and was determined to shine its brightest, to recognize the complete, total divinity of itself, say yourself, myself, that light would indeed light the whole world. Because that's how powerful it is. And we lose sight of that sometimes. We sometimes think that, well, the light that we shine on things, well, it's the best light. Sometimes we think it's the truest light. Sometimes we think it's the only light. And I'm sorry, but if your light doesn't coincide with my light, take your light over here somewhere. Or wait, better than that, stick around. Let me help you fix this. Let me help you fix it. Minding our own business means forgetting trying to fix somebody. Can we fix somebody?
No.
God, have we even fixed ourselves? The most spiritual person we know, that we look up to and honor the most in the entire world, still has a little issue or two. And we can't fix that. And in this teaching, we know that rather than fix, in place of fixing, we help somebody to heal. But then we go a step beyond that and we understand that the only healing necessary for anything is just a revealing of the divinity that's within each person. And I can't reveal the divinity in you until I can reveal it in myself. I have to find it in me. There's nothing in you that isn't in me. And there's nothing in me that isn't in you. It's just that we're on that scale. Sometimes we show a little more one thing, sometimes a little less. And sometimes somebody else might show a little more one thing, and somebody show a little less. This is curious, but did you know that the first penny in this country was designed by Benjamin Franklin? The very first penny back in the late 1700s. And it looked very much like pennies today, except it didn't have Lincoln's head on it because, of course, they hadn't met Lincoln yet. But it did have like a sun blast of some sort on it. But at the very bottom it said, "Mind your business." Who knew that? And oh my God, who knew how far we'd come from that? We started with that. It went away on the penny and, kind of in our heads. Ernest Holmes, well, this isn't, Ernest Holmes didn't write this book, Love and Law. This book was titled Love and Law. It's a collection of Ernest Holmes' talks from 1918. And it's got some interesting stuff in there, as you can imagine. But what he said about minding your own business, and that's the title of this particular chapter in this book. He says, you take absolutely too much responsibility upon yourself. It amounts to fear, which is a natural consequence of the belief in limitation. So remember the other week I talked about Thomas Troward, how we wanted some of his wisdom, because Thomas Troward said that belief in limitation is the only thing in the world that can cause limitation. It's our belief in it. And he also said, when we go within, when we introspect, when we plant the seed of that which we want to manifest in our world into that fertile soil that is the subjective subconsciousness within which we all live and from which we all draw those demonstrations in our lives, there's no need for anxious thoughts. We know this in Science of Mind, in this teaching. Because we share in that divine mind, the one mind, the only mind there is, that's where we get to draw from. And access to all of it is available to everybody at any time. So when we think that our partner or our sibling or our parents or our children are doing it wrong, and we want to fix that for them, knowing full well they're not capable of self-correcting, we go into this mode of, come on, haven't you heard somebody say, I'm going to pray for him or her. I'm going to pray that they get this straightened out. And really what they're saying is, I'm going to pray that they come around to my way of thinking. Here's a news flash. The way people live today is not the same as the way we live, because it cannot be the same as the way we live. Things are just different. That's on this human plane. In that divine plane, in the power and the presence of that one consciousness that we all have access to, remember, nothing has ever changed. And yet, we're going to go into that mental closet and we're going to pray in whatever manner we pray. Oh God, please straighten this person out. When really, the only prayer that has ever worked or ever will work is, oh God, help me straighten myself out. Because everything that I pray for me, I have to pray for everybody else too. Everything I wish for anybody in the world has to be a wish for everybody in the world. And if it's not, it's exclusionary. We are not exclusionary. Well, look around. I mean, not in here. Look around at the world at large. I dare say there's lots of exclusionary principle going on out there. But the fact is, can we fix that? The only thing we can fix is what's going on in us. And that's not a question of fixing. That's just a question of becoming aware of our thought processes and aware that our conscious mind can direct that subconscious within us. So if we want to see something, you know, one thing Ernest Holmes once said was, if you took a picture, if you could somehow manage to take a picture of your thoughts, and then you took a picture of your world, you'd see they're identical. They're identical. Not similar, not kind of, you know, third cousin twice removed kind of thing. They're going to be identical. Because what we think turns out to be what our world looks like. So if what I'm thinking is, gee, you need to do this, that, or the other thing, because that's not the way I would do it. Or wait a minute, let me back up. No, because that's not what I would say, right? You need to do this, that, or the other thing because I only want the best for you. How in the world would we know? How would we even have the slightest clue what's best for somebody else? Because when we determine what's best for somebody else, we're doing it from a field of fear. We're doing it from a field of ignorance and misunderstanding and superstition. And not our fault. It's been driven into us. But still, who are we to say, in any regard, what another person's soul path is? What it is that the divine within that person is directing that soul. The soul within that is directing that for its highest and best good. Whether that looks like the highest and best good to us or not. Highest and best good comes in a lot of different packaging. And just because it's not packaged the way we would pack it, does not mean that it's not serious. Other pithy frame, you heard this saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because it might not be broke. It might just be worn or frayed or frazzled or tired out, or it might need an oil change or a tune-up. But it's not broke. There's nobody in this world or has ever been in this world that was broke. We put that label on them, but again, who are we to say? We only see things through the lens of our own conditioning. And once we manage to get astute enough to push most of that conditioning aside, we're still seeing it through the lens of our own experience. Somebody else's experience does not have to line up with ours for it to be valid, for it to be valuable, for it to be fully and completely on that spiritual path that that soul is destined to be on. So in this little book, Keys to Wisdom, back to Ernest Holmes, he says, instead of looking on our problems as things difficult to solve, we should look upon every problem as but an added possibility, an added opportunity for self-expression. And that's not just for us. That's for when we see something going on in someone else's life that appears to be a problem. Appears to be a problem. That doesn't make it a problem. That just means that we might be misconstruing it as a problem rather than a valid, valuable, necessary step on that soul's path back to that divinity from which we come. Another thing he says in this book, I just love this little book. It's got all those little pithy things in it. You can read one of these and sit and meditate for hours. So this book could possibly last, like the whole life. Well, anyway, so he says, man's inner life is one with the Father. Don't get bogged down in this verbiage, okay? Man's inner life is one with that one power and one presence. There can be no separation for the self-evident reason that there is nothing to separate that person from God, because there's nothing other than God. So, and don't we say that all the time? If there's nothing other than God, how can whatever he or she does be out of alignment? This is an ordered universe. Do we get that? I mean, just look around. There's no other possibility of everything that happens in this planet and the universe of being chaotic. So I'm sorry to the people who think that somehow randomly, all these planets just started circling the sun and their moons started circling them, and they all going around in the galaxy and they're all traveling all throughout the universe. That stretches the limits of my understanding to think that could possibly be random. That'd be like saying, if we could just go to a junkyard, say, and start throwing parts up in the air over the fence onto the driveway, that they would assemble themselves into a svelte sports car for us. Probably isn't going to work that way. There's a design going on here. Everything in this universe is in alignment. So if we think that somebody is out of alignment, we need to go within and ask ourselves, could that somebody who's a little bit out of alignment right now possibly be me? And don't be so quick to answer to ourselves, oh no, could possibly be me. Are you kidding me? I go to the Center for Spiritual Living every Sunday. I listen to that affirmative prayer. I listen to that reading. I listen to that talk. I know what's going on. I must be right. Yeah, maybe. Don't we say that we create our own experience? Right? We develop, we populate our world as a direct result of the preponderance of our thoughts. That's just how it is. If that's the case for us, Why can't it be the case for her? The case for him? It can't be just the case for us. If it's the case at all, it has to be the case for everybody. Remember a while back we talked about, with his last gasp, dying breath, the master teacher, Jesus, forget what he said. That's not what we're here to talk about right now. But what happened at that time was that big, giant, thick, tall veil in the temple rended, ripped, came apart. Remember that? And it did so because it had to. So I don't often go to the Bible, but I'm going to talk a minute about Mark chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. This is right after, just before, if you will, the crucifixion. It was that time period. And then a couple of days before, Jesus had been teaching in the temple grounds. And as he was leaving the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what massive stones, what magnificent buildings." Talking about the church. "Do you see all these great buildings?" replied Jesus. "Not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down." Why would he say that? That's because the temple represented, and I might say still represents, this dichotomy that just isn't real. It's a dichotomy that has been foisted upon us, but it's not real. Because on the one side of the temple, or the veil, was holy. On the other side was unholy. And Jesus simply took it a step further and said, everything in that temple, what they're telling you, is holy, and everything outside of the temple is unholy. And the point he was trying to make is this: we have to get out of our temple. We have to get out of our temple. If our temple includes a veil, if our temple includes exclusivity, if our temple doesn't include everybody, because remember, there is nothing more sacred than anything else on this planet. I can go into the most glorious gold-embellished church in the world, or temple, and look at all the opulence, and just say, wow, wow, this isn't any better than that stump on the forest that the hermit sits on to do his meditation and to get close to God. Take a little closer walk with, if you will. Because we don't find what's holy inside of something that we just arbitrarily declare to be holy. What's holy is every place we are, everywhere we go. As long as that place isn't in somebody else's business. Okay? It's not holy of me to try to change you because I don't understand you, or because you do things a little bit differently than I. You know, the Sufi poet Rumi said, "We've been walking in the surf, holding up our robes, when really what we should be doing is getting naked and diving deep and deeper." And that's just kind of the message I'm trying to get across. Because if we're trying to get somebody to change their thoughts, their actions, their concepts, their philosophies, simply to be in line with ours, we're just not diving very deep. What we need to be doing is diving deep within ourselves and asking, why do I think that? Why do I not understand that everybody is on their own spiritual path? And it doesn't have to look like mine. If it includes things such as love, harmony, community, beauty, joy, forgiveness, acceptance, inclusion, it's a good path. If it happens to include things that are at odds with those things, it's still the path they're on. And we can't take them off of it. They have to get off of it by themselves. And the only way we can help that happen is by going within and praying for the highest and best good of ourselves and everybody without drawing out the details. Okay? It's not the highest and best good if so-and-so does such and such. It's the highest and best good if so-and-so does that which is right for that person's spiritual advancement. And isn't that what it's all about? We're here to advance our spiritual awareness and to share our understanding of the divine with our world, with the people who populate our world. And that's all. So let's just know this together. Let's just know in this wonderful, wacky life where things happen that are completely beyond our comprehension, they still happen for a purpose. That each of us is on his or her own spiritual path, and that spiritual path is exactly what they need at this moment, every moment. Whether it aligns with ours or not, doesn't matter. It is in some fashion unknown to us, aligning with the order of the universe. It is in sacred divinity that each of us comes to this place. And the purpose for it, I believe, is to go within and understand that divinity, become more aware of it, become more familiar with it, have it become more and more a part of us. And when that happens, then automatically expands to everything in our world. And in that fashion, we do, at that point, everything is possible for us to do in order to make this a better world and to make this a world that works for everybody. But a world that works for everybody is not exclusive. It doesn't count out anybody. Everybody on this planet is a gift from God. Whether he or she uses that gift in the manner that we think it should be happening is kind of inconsequential. The fact is, we just have to understand that there's something more going on here than our limited thought patterns. And because that's the case, we don't have to fix anybody. We can mind our own business. And our business is totally and completely that of getting closer to that divine spirit for which we come. So it's with grateful heart I just acknowledge this being the case, and I say thank you, God. Thank you for the knowledge of this, and thank you for allowing me to be here to participate in this program. And I just let this word go into that law that knows only to say yes to my every request. I let it go. I know it is so. And so it is. Let's just take a moment to know that this is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are extremely grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's with your continued financial support that this center is able to continue to do its good work in this world. And for all of you who are not in the sanctuary, thank you also for your continued support. Let's just know that we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they are given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forth to do their good work in the world with no strings and no conditions, and so it is.
You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said, 'cause you've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Now, you got troubles, well, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. If we stick together, we can see it through. 'Cause you've got a friend in me. That's right, you've got a friend in me. Now, some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, big and stronger too, maybe. But none of them could ever love you the way I do, just you and me, kid. And as the years go by, a friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. That's right. You got a friend in me. That's right.
Let's just know something together right here.
Stretch the circle.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called minding my own business.
It's this thing called minding my own business.
My business is God's business.
My business is God's business.
And I am God's business.
And I am God's business.
I'm so thankful for this.
I'm so thankful for this.
I celebrate it.
I celebrate it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.